And hello and welcome to Ghost Stories with Cara and Debbie and Brandi. We have an exciting show tonight. We are going to be discussing the Mothman, Chupacabra, the Jersey Devil, the Japanese suicide forest, and a surprise for me that I'm not allowed to know. But we're but I want to say welcome to Debbie and Brandi. Hello, guys.
Hello.
And
Hi.
hi. And Debbie and I are still reeling from the celebration of our collaboration, our first book published together, The Past Lives of Deborah O'Hara, Portals Through Time. And we will be announcing probably in the next few weeks when we will have our sequel to the book, our second in the series. Will be ready to publish shortly. We're working really hard on it. And a kudo and thank you to Brandi for all of her insight and help with us with the book.
Thank you, Brandy.
It's been my
Yes, thank
privilege.
you. And hi, Kate. We love to see you back, Kate. And we yes, I also have my book, and I do want to mention. Someone mentioned to me uh, the my book, The Shadows of Satan: Terror in the Mountains, is not satanic. It has nothing to do with Satan. It has to do with the evil deeds that people do. So it's more of a play on words about the horrible things that people do that are evil, which, rounds you about to Satan. So please give it a chance. It's a really good book, and I hope you all enjoy it. And hi, Kit. And we are ready to start the show. We're going to start off with the Mothman. And the Mothman is a legend, mythical creature, or, quite possibly a purveyor of impending doom. The Mothman, there he is, was first seen on 11/15/1966 in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. He was described as a large gray creature with red glowing eyes and like a large flying man with a wingspan of like 10 feet. Each wing being 10 feet. I should say a wingspan of 20. But the first couple who saw him, they were terrified. And when they took off in their car, the Mothman actually followed them, which terrified them even more. And a couple days later, two volunteer firemen saw it, and they said it looked like a large flying bird with big red eyes. And when they flashed the light on its eyes, they began to glow. Um, and another man who witnessed the Mothman believes that his German Shepherd was taken by the Mothman. But over 100 people, it's estimated, saw the Mothman between 11/15/66 and 12/15/1967 when the Silver Bridge collapsed. There were no more sightings in Point Pleasant after the bridge collapsed. 46 people died in that collapse. But some people believe that he was foreshadowing or trying to warn people of the impending doom. Now, that is not the end of the Mothman story. The Mothman has also been seen in different countries where just before a disaster. One of those was in Russia in 1999. Several sightings of the Mothman were seen before there was a apartment building bombings that happened. And Point Pleasant decided to embrace the Mothman. So in 2002, if you see this statue, that's the statue in Point Pleasant. They started the Mothman Festival and they erected this statue. And a lot of people in Point Pleasant believe that, he was trying to warn of some kind of doom. And that, and luckily, it's pretty wild. Only 46 people died on that bridge. Had more people been crossing that bridge that the normal amount, they probably would have had people dead in the hundreds. It's really odd, you know. It's just the bridge collapsed with a lot fewer cars than it normally would have had. So it makes you wonder. And then him lurking around the Russian apartment buildings before the bombings happened, it makes you wonder too. Is there something to this? Have there been sightings in other parts of the world that have not, you know, people haven't come forward? Because they said of the people who came forward in Mount Point Pleasant, um, it was the number was scarcely different from what the um, mediums and also the psychiatrists and stuff who have studied this and the folklorists. They say that upwards of 100 people came forward, but they came forward anonymously and refused to speak about it publicly. And this also drew the attention uh, of national newspapers, and someone wrote a book about it in 1975. And then the book was turned into a movie with Richard Gere in 2002, The Mothman Prophecies. And it's very scary because it was taken from the point of the writer who actually was experiencing these things in Point Pleasant as well when he went to go research the story for his newspaper. So it's a good movie. I say go watch it. It's really good. But that's the Mothman. He's he's the impender and the harbinger of doom, so to speak.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? I was thinking, do they have you guys seen like that harpy owl that's all over social media? I'm like,
I think
I wonder if it was something like a giant harpy owl, but I don't know where they live.
yeah, I'm not
I
sure either,
don't
but
either.
yeah, I don't know, but I mean they said it had the body of a man, which as you can see, they put the legs and everything like
Hmm.
a man and the chest, but you wonder. I mean, could it have also been an alien? You know, a lot of people say that they've seen aliens in different forms.
Right.
And I'm not
Hmm.
ignorant enough to believe that we're the only planet in the universe that has life.
That's
You
right.
Yep.
know, there's there's life out there. We just don't know, and maybe they have seen us or come here, and maybe they haven't. But who knows?
That's an amazing statue.
It is.
It's really neat.
Yeah, those wings are kind of giving me kind of creepy vibes with how they're broken. It reminds me of you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the creeper from Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of is Jeepers Creepers.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Yep. I see that. Now that you said it, I see it.
Yeah. Now there's also another movie called Mimic that it also reminds me of too. The creature in
Yeah.
Mimic. Yeah. But we have to move to my favorite that I've been waiting for, and that is the Japanese suicide forest because this one freaks me out completely. And I've been waiting to hear Brandy talk about this one all week.
Yeah. So, let me first apologize. I'm going to attempt to pronounce the name of this forest, but I don't speak Japanese. Just put that out there. So it is called Aokigahara, I think, but it's also known as the Sea of Trees. So it's a forest on the northwestern flank of Mount Fuji, and it's about 12 square miles of hardened lava that had been laid down in the last major eruption of Mount Fuji, which was back in 864 CE.
Wow.
So the western edge of this forest is where you can find several caves that are filled with like ice and water, and it is a very popular destination for tourists and classroom school trips and that kind of stuff. But it's also been known as the Forest of Silence. It is considered to be a depressing area, and what gives it kind of that impression is that it's got all this porous lava rock and it absorbs sound. So it's like you're literally walking in and there's no sound around you because the lava kind of dampens it all down. And it gives you feel solitude, basically, is what most people will say they feel. It's like it's a very lonely place to be.
Yeah.
Um, Haunting wise, reputation is known as a yori, which I'm probably pronouncing that wrong too, and I apologize, but it is ghosts of the dead that the Japanese truly believe in. It's part of their culture. They believe very thoroughly of it. And that has been going around since 1960s when those ghost stories really started popping up for this forest. It's probably been around longer than that, but it didn't hit the internet and all that, so we don't know about it until like the 1960s.
Right.
But this forest has become acquainted with the suicide, which is why it's called nicknamed Suicide's Forest. It is actually the third most popular place to commit suicide. And believe it or not, one of the most popular places, of course, is the Golden State Bridge. That is actually top of the list for suicides, which is sad. But so this is the third one. And you can tell, according to locals and people that's been there, that when somebody's going into this forest, you know if they're just going in to sightsee or if they're not planning on coming back out.
Yep.
So if they're going into sightsee, they will take a string and they will tie little loops around branches and stuff so that they can find their way back out, because everything looks so similar that there's no real landmark to find your way back out of this forest. So if you're going to venture off of the trail paths, you better take something to mark your way. However, if you're not planning on coming back out, you're not bothering with that. So it's kind of simple to tell when it's somebody that you know's got ulterior motives than just sightseeing. And they have posted signs around this forest because it is so well known for suicide that advise people to think of their families. Suicide's not the option. And to give like local numbers for suicide awareness hotlines and stuff to try to discourage the suicides. Now, according to the Suicide Prevention Association, in 2003, there was 105 bodies found inside this forest, which exceeded the previous record of 78 in 2002.
Good gravy.
Now, in 2010, the police recorded more than 200 people having attempted suicide in this forest, of whom 54 actually succeeded. Now, these are just numbers of people they found. So in this forest, they send out search parties between volunteers and forest workers and rangers to look for bodies or to find somebody who's in the act and save them, which sometimes they get lucky and they're able to. But they find bodies that have been there for so many years that it's just skeletal remains. They don't even know who these people are anymore. So the accurate numbers, nobody really knows. Now, as of 2011, they no longer report how many people are found out there because they're trying to disassociate that forest with suicide. So you can no longer find any, official public reports on how many people they find each year. They don't publish it no more. But the most common ways to do it is hanging or drug overdose. That's usually the way they do it.
I don't think they're ever going to take away the reputation of that. So many people have
I totally agree.
themselves.
And especially after that social media thing with, that somebody posted an actual picture. I won't list names or tell names. It was a big scandal, though, that one of the YouTubers went into the forest and they found somebody who had recently done it, and they took pictures and posted it all over their YouTube channel. It was bad.
My. Oh, terrible.
Awful.
So, now the question is why? Why do people think this forest is so haunted? Now, one thing that it does is that because of the volcanic soil and all the magnetic iron in this soil, you don't have a compass that works. Most of the time, your phone won't work in this. It's like anything electronic no longer works as soon as you enter the lava field, which makes people think that it's haunted and it's scary because, you're cut off from everybody. And another thing that leads to the haunting and I can't say the word. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say they're ghosts, the Japanese ghosts, is that they used to practice something that's called ubasute. Once again, I apologize if I said it wrong. But what this is a form of euthanasia that translates roughly to abandoning the old woman. And in their history, not nowadays, but in the past, they would resort to taking the oldest members of their family during a famine or something and taking them out into this mountain or similar remote areas and leaving the elderly out of their family and letting them die due to dehydration, starvation, or exposure. That was their way of making sure the rest of the family could eat. And they believe that because of this, these spirits are unrested. They're not at rest. They're pissed, basically, not happy with the situation, and they haunt. And since it's a deep sense of hatred, anger, sadness, or even desire of revenge is what can leave their soul to wander. And they appear to affect people with a spell or something of the people who cross them or cross their path, trying to force them to feel the same way and give up hope. Now, today we kind of know we don't abandon people now.
Oh my God.
That's wrong.
That's insane.
This isn't the first. This is not the only culture who did that.
No,
Right,
it's not.
right.
It was very common. But it's such a big belief that the Uri or the ghosts exist that when bodies are found, they are kept in a storage building next to the forest until people can identify them or collect the remains, or they get sent off to, their version of a morgue. And the guards for this place will play rock, paper, scissors to determine who's going to be the unlucky companion of the bodies. They have to sit there and watch and guard the bodies to make sure nobody breaks in and does things, right? So they'll literally play like rock, paper, scissors because nobody wants to do it. And I can't say that I blame them.
No.
But they don't believe in leaving the body alone in a room either, because they think that can increase the likelihood of it turning into an unrested spirit. So,
well, Brandi, if I can kind of interject this, I go to the cemeteries all the time, and I see the people bringing of the Asian community, bringing their patio chairs and ice chests and everything, and sitting. And I don't know how many days it is or anything, but they sit at the grave.
Yeah.
And make sure that they have company. So I wish I knew more about that, but I've observed that.
Yeah. Well, and sadly for these bodies, they're not identified. So the family doesn't even know that they should come and sit and watch, because they don't know who these people are. They're just finding these bodies, and then they have to go through the hard process of identifying who they was. Was it something that was a suicide? Was it some other scenario where maybe somebody took them out there and just dumped the body? Because the areas where they're finding these bodies are very isolated areas inside the forest. They go off the well-beaten path because they don't want to be found.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just
that's
really
so sad.
It is. And it's even sadder because if you look at photos and pictures of this forest, it is actually a really beautiful place. And for it to have that negative connotation to it, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
It's the same with when you go back through to the Eskimo tribes in Alaska, even up to the last century or early of the last century. They would take their old and sick and dying relatives, and they would put them on a piece of ice, and then they would break the ice away and send them drifting off to die on the piece of ice.
Mm-hmm.
But when you were talking about people going to the cemetery with ice coolers and things like that, that's what we grew up doing. We grew up picnicking in the cemeteries.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
we still do when we go up to, last time it's been a year since I went up to Minnesota, but family cemetery, we still go out and have, sandwiches. The kids run around and play. And
this is fresh graves and graves and in the evening.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, that's a night watcher thing that started way back, they actually had bells tied to the hands of the dead, and a string that came up through the ground, and it was attached to a bell. And if the person was buried alive and the bell started ringing, they had someone there all night long to dig that grave up to save them.
Yeah, because it
Right.
was so common to misdiagnose and
Yes.
call somebody,
A
that they
coma.
was,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
How terrible. Oh my goodness, Brandy, that was so interesting and so eerie. I don't know. I guess I'd go see it, but I would tell empaths not to go.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Sorry,
I
Carrie,
don't
you
Yeah.
think
can't
I
go.
would. I don't think I would go. No.
Yeah, no, Carrie, you can't go.
No.
No.
Me and
Did,
Debbie don't feel like dragging you back out of there, so you no, don't go.
Yeah.
oh, um, are we ready for another story?
Yep,
Oh
that's what, I didn't
yeah.
want to go into too much detail because it can get pretty gruesome in that forest, so I kind of
Yeah.
glazed over the
Yes,
topics.
over it a
Yeah.
little
If
bit.
you guys want to really research it, you will find some really grisly things that are better left for you to read on your own than for us to tell you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. And out of respect for the people that's lost their lives out there, I don't feel like airing their
Oh yeah.
dirty laundry and stuff. I will say that the most common reason for people to do this in Japan is money. So extreme debt.
mm-hmm.
Oh man.
So
Yeah.
I will point that out that that is the number one cause for them to seek out that forest.
Yeah.
Wow. Are you guys can I'm ready to go.
Yes. We're gonna
Is
hear
that
the Jersey Devil. Yes.
let
Jersey
me
Devil.
gotta show you the picture
Jenna's
of
waiting.
the Jersey
Jenna has
Devil.
joined the podcast.
Oh my goodness, can you imagine?
Jersey Devil.
Okay, the reason I wanted to do the Jersey Devil is because my husband is from New Jersey. And even when I quizzed him on some of this, he knew everything. So I go, okay. But there you guys have a little image of what they think that this monster, this creature looks like. So you know what? It had a different name. It was called the Leeds Devil. And I want to tell you, I have my notes here, so I'm going to tell you the little legend. And so this creature is said to inhabit the forest of pine barrens in South Jersey. And the creature is often described as a flying biped with hoofs, but there are a lot of variations on what they've seen. Okay. Um, some call the monster kind of kangaroo like with a horse or a goat like head, leathery bat like wings and horns and small arms with claws. And the cloven hooves are, the legs and the feet. And also, it's known to have a forked tail. So interesting. I want everybody to remember the description. Also emits a high pitched, blood curdling scream, which would be really scary. Okay. So, really, let's look at the origin of the legend. And it was all about a family named Leeds. And it started, I need a show of anybody to tell me, not you guys, if you know. Anybody have any idea when this story started of the Jersey Devil or the Leeds Devil? This was something my husband got right away. And I'm just looking. Anybody want to type in a number? I'm
I'm not
looking.
allowed to.
Come on, Kate. Come on, Kit. Give us a number.
Yeah, if you don't know, Brandy, guess.
Well, you said not one of us.
Well, if you don't know exactly what it is. Okay. What is it, Brandy? Go ahead.
Oh, you're gonna ask me. Oh
I
my
will.
gosh. See, now you put me on the spot. I honestly don't know. It's not where I was raised at.
Okay. It all started in the 1700s.
Oh
Can you
gosh.
believe that? Um, okay, so it said that Mother Leeds had 12 children, and when she found out she was having her 13th, she cursed it. Oh my
Ooh.
goodness. The child was born looking normal, but transformed into a creature, beat everyone with its tail, and flew up the chimney and into the pine woods. Is that scary? That's pretty scary. There was speculation that Mother Leeds was a witch and the father of the child was the devil. So, what really happened and came about was that this family, the Leeds family, had a lot of disputes, such as a lot of political issues with strong adversaries. And Daniel Leeds was described as a monster a lot in print. So the gossip and the story spread about the family. Daniel was a publisher of an almanac and eventually was ostracized by the Quaker Church because he included in his almanacs depictions of astrological symbols and writings which were deemed pagan or blasphemous. And the almanacs were censored and destroyed, many of them by the local Quaker community. So Daniel returned in kind by publishing even more such writings. And he was fascinated with occultism, demonology, angelology, natural magic, things like that. So Daniel did pass away, and his son continued the business with his father's interests were still included in the almanacs. So his son's name was Titan. And Titan went on to have a huge rift with another writer named Benjamin Franklin. And they really had it out. I'll tell you that. But Titan added a family crest to the almanacs, to kind of jazz it up a little bit. And on their family crest was depicted a bat-winged dragon-like creature having two clawed feet. So very similar to how we describe the Jersey Devil. So the Leeds Devil spread throughout the Jersey area, the gossip, the legends, the myth. Into the 20th century, we changed the name from the Leeds Devil. It became the Jersey Devil. So let me talk about some of the sightings, because a lot of people that were reputables have seen the creature. Commodore Stephen Decatur sighted a flying creature and fired a cannonball directly upon it with no effect. The one thing that we find consistent with the stories of the Jersey Devil is people fire at it, shoot it, but it lives. It doesn't phase it. Also, we have a famous type person here. I think you'll know the name, Joseph Bonaparte, elder brother of Napoleon, claimed to see the devil while hunting on his estate in 1820. Let's go to 1840. The devil was blamed for livestock killings, a lot of them, with more attacks that next year and people finding tracks and also hearing screams. Okay, that blood-curdling screams. So sightings became strong, especially beginning in 1909, by the way. The week of January 16th through the 23rd of 1909 brought hundreds of claims of sightings of the devil. Claims of attacks were rampant around Jersey and even Philadelphia. Men grouped together to hunt the creature and scoured the pines for the monster, but to no avail. Didn't find it. In 1925, a farmer shot an unidentified animal when it tried to steal chickens. He photographed the corpse and claimed that it was the devil and that 100 witnesses were there and no one could ID the animal. From this corpse arose the description of the Jersey Devil. And from that, many boys claimed to see the animal, as well as it spurred an offer of $10,000 reward for its capture, because the plan was to build a private zoo for the devil to live in. Isn't that nice? You're going to think it's going to stay in there. The Pines area was so inhospitable as an area that it was riddled with crime and robberies, frightening stories of crimes and things that happened in that scary part. So it was easy to foster a monster to roam that hillsides. So there are still people who have organized, and they're dedicating a lot of their time to find the elusive creature as the Jersey Devil, or trying to get any evidence of it. And unfortunately, during all this time, there were plenty of hoaxes. So really hard to find the evidence when it's being faked. So I thought it was so interesting that people still have an organization to go chase after this guy. To me, when I look at him, I go, I can see the horse head. I don't see the goat head. But look at the wings and the hooves, and it just
Yeah.
really, to me, seems like it was maybe a horse. But I
It almost
don't know.
reminds me of those giant fruit bats.
Oh,
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, Brandy, it has the same face.
yeah.
Yes.
It has the same
I
face,
mean, it
and
wouldn't
they're
explain the
huge.
cloven feet and stuff, but they would explain the screaming and the face and
Yeah.
the wings.
It would be the person seeing it that would be screaming, I think.
Yeah.
It looks like it. They are big, but they don't seem to be as big as they think this is. But I always feel like if something gets in somebody's face and they can remember the head and the wings, that could exaggerate to be a bigger
Hmm.
size. Oh, Brandy, you're right on. I think
Yeah.
that you got something there.
That is definitely what it looks like.
Oh, we may have solved it. You seen it here.
And maybe the feet and the arms were disfigured instead of looking.
Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes when they say there's a claw, well, that the bats would have
Yeah, they have
claws.
those hands,
Yeah.
those talons on their hands.
Now we have to find out if those bats where they live. If they say not in the United States, well, what do you do? That was amazing. So that's what I have on the Jersey Devil, which was the Leeds Devil, and I think that was interesting that it has a very long history of hundreds of years of this fellow being out there.
Yeah.
I'm sad that I didn't get to guess the 1700s.
Because I figure you knew it.
I
In
did.
its history, what
Yeah,
doesn't she know?
yeah. Because
All right,
my
I'm
husband,
yeah.
absolutely, they all know the story. So he knew, and I was so surprised that he knew.
Yeah.
So that
It's
was a
a
good one.
good
Yay!
folklore. Very good. Now,
What
Jenna,
else
you've
do
got
we
to
have?
let Gigi do. You've got to let Gigi do the Chupacabra, which is from
Ooh.
your. That's part of the folklore of your ancestry. Okay. Now, the Chupacabra literally translates to mean goat sucker in
Ooh.
Spanish. It is suspected of vampirism, and the first sighting was in Puerto Rico in 1975. Um, it attacks and sucks the blood of livestock and even domesticated animals. And it has been seen in several places. I'll have to name them in a little bit, but it's been seen as far north as Maine in the United States
Yeah.
and as far south as Chile in South America.
Cara, I'm sorry I don't have a photo. Everything that I could see depicted was original artist drawings,
Oh, that's
and
fine.
so I couldn't use them.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. There's actually part of it is that there are two very different descriptions
Okay.
of it. In the U.S. and in parts of Mexico, it is seen more as Jenna as dog-like with a backbone that has a row of spines that goes from the head down to the tip of the tail. Now, in most of Latin America and Puerto Rico, it's more alien or reptile-like. Still has a lot of the similar features, but it's more reptilian looking. And some believe it's a combination of like a reptile or a wolf or a bear or there's different animals that it's actually looking like. Jenna. Now, in 1975, it was seen in the town or village of Moja, and that's where it got the name Vampiro de Moja because it killed um, 8 sheep, and they had 3 distinct puncture wounds on their chests, and they were completely devoid of all blood. All blood was gone. And they that's how they said, it was some kind of vampire because of that. Jenna, let Gigi talk. And now the following month, after that happened in 1975, another, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce the name of this town right, but another woman reported the creature near the town of Kono Vanahas. And 150 animals, including house pets, were found dead with the puncture wounds.
Oh, wow.
And now, yeah, and the sightings have just continued. There are reported sightings that have been going on, and they are some of the countries that have had them are Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Peru, the USA, with Maine and the Southwest states having also had sightings. And they also say in 2018 in Manupar, I can't pronounce. I'm going to screw that up. Manupar, India. There were animals killed in the same way, and they believed that it was the chupacabra. And yeah, and the funny thing is that I living in the Midwest, everyone knows about the Ozark howler. You're going to get scratched by the kitty. Yep. The Ozark howler does the similar things and has a similar style, except it's more. They describe it as more bear-like.
Yeah.
But it has the same thing with the blood sucking. But these have been going on for, nearly 50 years. And the amount of livestock and domesticated animals that have been killed during the sightings has increased. Be careful, baby. But it's, the chupacabra is, they've had several horror films, Jenna. They've had several horror films based on the chupacabra. Because it's such a prevalent thing in Latin America. You can mention that name in any place in Mexico or Puerto Rico or any of the countries, and they'll immediately say, "Oh yeah, the vampiro de Moja," because that's what it's known as well. But yeah, it's very, very creepy. Jenna, you are not helping. Sorry, she is supposed to be down with her grandma, and somehow she busted into the room and got into the door, and she's trying to be part of the show. So at least she's not talking, so that's good.
Yeah.
The chupacabra kind of freaks me out, especially with the description of it being, it's almost like the head of like of a horse, almost the body of like a man, the scales, the spiny talons going out from the head down to the tip of the, it's very scary. And some, like I said, some say that it looks more like a wolf, and some say it looks more like an alien. Okay, Jenna. Jenna is imitating the chupacabra for you.
What I love about our shows is that we are down to earth and life happens. And so we get to see her and the cat.
Those are Daddy's work papers. Don't do that. She's trying to show you guys all of Daddy's work notes. Here, did you give me one? But yeah, that's the chupacabra, and it's very interesting of how many animals. Oh, thank you, Kate. This is my youngest granddaughter. I have one grandson younger, but it's very interesting on how the animals all have the same 3 marks on their chest, like vampire puncture wounds, and how they're all devoid, all drained completely of blood.
I find it interesting that there's different descriptions of it, because most cryptoids, they have a very distinct look that is mirrored through all the stories, and yet this one, it depends on which region you're in. What does it look like?
Exactly. That's what I found very interesting. I did. It was very it was it was very unnerving to know that there are so many descriptions, considering that all of the ways the livestock died are virtually the same.
Yeah.
Well, is there some kind of mutant from the original that has mutated, maybe has merged with some other animal, or
Or is it like other species where they can look totally different from
yeah,
region to region?
yes,
It
yes,
almost makes it more believable than the other stories because it does change features from region to region.
oh yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. But that's the chupacabra, and that's the scary one. Now, Brandy is going to tell us one that she will not let me know about. I'm supposed to guess and see if I actually know this cryptoid figure, but it is your turn, Brandy, to turn it over and
Okay.
tell us the
So
other one.
let me say that this one, the most well known sighting for it was in Louisiana, Missouri on July 11th, 1972. Does it ring any bells for you yet, Carrie?
That is sounding familiar, but I don't know.
Its nickname is Momo, the Missouri Monster.
Ah,
It is most commonly referred to as another Bigfoot sighting. However, it is not exactly like other Bigfoots. It is a creature that is large, bipedal, and humanoid, about 7 foot tall, covered in dark hair that emits a putrid odor.
oh, yes.
So it was first reported when two boys were playing in their backyard of a very rural outskirts of Louisiana, Missouri. And their older sister Doris was in the kitchen when she heard her brothers just screaming. I mean, terrified screaming like the world's coming to an end. So she looked out the window and observed a massive, dark haired man like creature holding what appeared to be a deceased dog.
Oh,
So she described it as having a pumpkin shaped head, large glowing orange eyes. Now, how it got nicknamed Momo, I'm not really for sure. But many alleged sightings occurred that year for this monster, and most notably was by a local fire department chief and member of the city council, and his name was Richard Allen Murray. So not just little kids reporting this. This was a fire chief, okay?
oh,
He reported that he was driving along a creek bed when he saw a massive upright creature in his vehicle's headlights. Now, as a result of these reported encounters, they formed a 20-person posse, which formed
oh,
to hunt the creature, but nothing was ever found of this creature. And, Debbie's been nice enough to provide us a newspaper clipping from back then. And so it was enough that it was actually newspaper stories written about this, and that's pretty big for that small town.
yeah.
Now, what most people don't know is that this was even turned into a docudrama horror. So you can actually watch a movie about Momo the Missouri Monster. And
I'm going to go watch it.
I think I'm gonna go search it out after the show for my granddaughter to watch.
Now, see, I was born and raised in Missouri, so I've always known about Momo, the Missouri Monster. It's a little story that my parents would personally say to scare me from going alone out in the woods by myself and disappearing. Didn't work. It didn't work. I went out looking for it. But so yeah, in 2019 they did a docudrama horror on this movie, and it's called Momo the Missouri Monster. So it had a lot of dramatization, of course, because these movies kind of do. And the cast included people like Cliff Barackman and James Bobo Fay. So, and they both was best known for their appearances in another thing that was Bigfoot Field Research Organization and members on the Animal Planet series Finding Bigfoot. Now, another thing that's been known is that from 1973 until 1994, Six Flags of St. Louis had a theme park ride opened for this. So I don't know what kind of it. I didn't really find any details on what kind of ride it was, but it was named after this creature.
Oh wow.
That'd be
But yet
fun.
it's not many people outside of Missouri has ever heard of Momo, which I just
I
find kind of funny.
didn't.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that it's a very little known outside of Missouri, and yet there's a There was a theme park and a big, you know, American theme park for it, and there was a movie over it, and hardly anybody's heard of Momo.
You know, when you said Louisiana, Missouri, I thought, oh, it's that big, like Bigfoot creature thing that was similar to Bigfoot. That's
Yeah.
the first thing I thought of.
Yep.
That's because Missouri it has a few different things that it's in terms of creatures and folklore. But
Yeah.
that one you really have to be. And I live in Illinois, and I'm only a couple hours away from St. Louis, so it's very, very interesting. But
One of
as
these
soon as
days,
you
I'm going to
start
stump you. One of these days, I will stump you.
as soon as you started talking, I mean, how many places do you know? How many other states have the name Louisiana as a town? When you said Louisiana, Missouri, all I thought of Bigfoot creature, Bigfoot like creature is the
Yeah.
first thing. That's why I started smiling and laughing. And then when you said Momo, I'm like, yeah, that's it. But
Momo.
I've never seen the docu series or the docu movie on it. I haven't. So it'd be interesting to watch that, because I've always been interested in like Bigfoot, Yeti, Sasquatch. It has so many different names. Of course, Yeti is the white,
Yeah, it's like the
you
snow
know,
one.
the snow one.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of horror films with those in there, especially the Yeti one. That was a big horror film in the 70s. Um,
I
but
I
lived
remember
in
watching Harry
Yosemite.
and the Hendersons growing up.
Oh,
That
that's
was
right.
my introduction to Bigfoot.
Yeah. I lived in Yosemite and we had Bigfoot stuff everywhere. They had, casts of the foot,
Yeah.
that when they found a foot, they would cast it. And there was always talk of Bigfoot up there. The only thing I ever saw were bears.
yeah,
But they were very much into Bigfoot around that area. And so I think that, with the giant sequoias around and all of that, some of the thick forests that we have, it was easy for people maybe to see something. But I I remember seeing the big, I don't know where they got those big footprints or any of that stuff, but all the people's stories and everything up just there. And I'm sure Northern California has a lot of stories as well as I think Washington. So,
Yeah.
it really to me, there's a lot of really credible people that have seen what they call Bigfoot.
yeah.
So
Well,
maybe.
I find it interesting. I find it interesting. Don't touch Daddy's things. That you have places like Chernobyl and all the different creatures that have been known to frequent there. There's a Bigfoot like creature. However, they think it may be an animal that was mutated by the nuclear disaster,
Yeah.
because they have actually gone into the river or the like pond or lake, whatever that is there, the water
The
source.
Cooling Reservoir.
Yeah, and there are fish in there that are so mutated and so disturbingly with several eyes and just weird things on their
More than one
body.
mouth inside of the
Yes,
mouth. Yeah.
yes, more than one head and different things. So you wonder if like some of the things of the monsters here, especially in like the desert areas and things, you wonder if it's like a mutation based on what happened to with the nuclear atomic testing and stuff.
Yeah.
Brings me back to the movie Them from the 1950s. I don't know if
Oh, my favorite. That's my favorite.
one of my favorites. My granddaughters love it. The
Oh,
giant
yes.
ants that were mutated by the atomic bomb testing out in the middle of nowhere uh, in the desert, and then all of a sudden these giant mutated ants come out and they're killing people with the folic acid. That's every time I think of an ant, I think now of folic acid.
Oh,
Well,
I
see,
love that show.
Bigfoot's also, people have speculated that it's just an ape form that we haven't really discovered, you
Yeah,
know, which is highly possible because there are so many different types of, just the ape genesis alone and the way it's evolved over the centuries.
yeah,
Maybe it is a secluded thing that didn't evolve, but I don't know. I find it funny that we've never actually caught one.
yeah.
The one that doesn't really surprise me that we've never actually proven is the Loch Ness, because that is a big body of water to try to search.
Yeah,
But
that's
on
what, 60
land,
million, 60 million gallons of water or something.
yeah, it is humongous. But I mean,
Yeah.
on
I
land, though, you
so
would think,
want that to be real. I so want that to be real. I want a big honking dinosaur to walk out or
it is
something.
something that a lot of people speculate is that it's an ancient plesiosaurus or something like that, an ancient
Yeah,
dinosaur that
Yeah.
yeah.
has
Swimming
managed to
around.
thrive in that body of water, and we just can't find it. But look how long it took us to get the ancient, the giant squid on camera, for
Right.
the longest time.
You know
And
what?
that, I think, most people contributed to being a kraken was the myth that came from it. Was
Yeah.
that
Right.
people thought it was a kraken?
Well, there's also one of the biggest sharks in the world did not exist
Megalodon.
to us more than 50 years ago. They found it in the Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
And it's born where it has eyesight, but then these little fish attach to their eyes, and by the time they're adults, they go blind. But now that they've been able to get cameras down there to get these, they live in complete darkness. They live in extremely cold water, and their eyes are, I mean, they're huge, scary looking creatures.
Are
But
we talking about Loch Ness?
Yes, I think so. Kate, that's
Awesome.
amazing.
oh wow, that is amazing.
That is amazing. See, now
Yeah.
we
That
need to
is
get Kate on here to tell us that story.
I know,
Yeah,
Kate. You need to
Kate,
come on.
why don't
Oh
you
my
come on as a guest and tell us some of these things? That would be amazing. But it's, yeah, I mean, there's so many species, and they're always finding, every day there is a new species found in the Amazon rainforest.
Mhm.
They're finding new things. They don't know. I mean, alligators were around during the time of the dinosaurs. How
Yeah,
do they know that there are not other creatures that adapted that are
exactly.
in places that
Well,
are
look
just,
at that extinct fish that they caught. They've caught a
The
couple of them.
coleotteract, I think is what it's
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
has actual like leg joints instead of just fins. They can walk
Yeah.
on the bottom of the
Mhm.
water or on the bottom of the ocean and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
but they have not even been able to, they have not even been able to research even 1/8 of what is in the Pacific Ocean.
Exactly.
So we don't know what is down there.
Kate says it's too late for her because we know that she's in another country. So
Yeah.
she's all cozy listening to us with her headphones.
Well, we'll have to get
Great
you on
bedtime
one night.
stories.
We'll have to make arrangements and get you on one night where you can come on and tell us some of the things that you have witnessed in England. It would be very interesting. Come on, stop.
I think she's a little bit closer to Scotland.
Oh, is she in? Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, how interesting. I so really, really want that. All those people that had the sightings that something will just swim right out, right
Yeah.
up to the camera. Come on, do it.
I yeah, I honestly believe there's just, we have not seen, and we don't know what is up on the Antarctic. They say, oh, it's too cold for humans or animals. How do you know? We don't
Yeah.
know what lives. We don't know what lives in the waters up there. There's a lot of animals that have their metabolism. They can survive anywhere.
Oh,
You know?
Kate said she's Scottish but lives in England.
Ah, okay. Well, we still have to get you on sometime.
I think it would be so interesting to really explore the depths because those are truly the places where they're finding the deep sea creatures that are so crazy different, making
Yeah.
their own lights and they look so strange and everything. But
Yeah.
I live right on the Pacific coast, and so one thing that's happened here, we do have the great white sharks, and they have found like a group of them just north of where I live.
Oh.
And this is all new. Like all this has not happened before. And so they have now have that. So now we're like, well, what are we going to be swimming with? Because the beach I go to is very well known for sharks. We have them and everybody swims with them. They're not, going to go after us. And but now we know there's great whites, and they seem to be adolescents, so they're going to grow bigger.
Oh,
So,
And
good.
I still believe that we don't know what's down in the since they know about that giant shark. How do we know that megalodons aren't still down there somewhere?
Exactly.
I find it hard to believe that something couldn't have adapted. And the megalodon does have the features of a great white. Maybe the great white is an evolution of the megalodon.
See, and Becky is fascinated by the megalodon. She is she watches everything she can about the megalodon. Absolutely fascinated by it.
Yeah.
I almost bought one of a tooth, because I just did get, it's around here somewhere. I just did get a fossil, and they were selling the tooth, and I was like, whoa, that'd be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that into all that stuff, but
Could you
I
imagine
thought,
turning
gee,
one of
it'd
those
be
teeth
nice.
into those necklaces that people wear, shark teeth and crocodile teeth and stuff?
Oh
You're
God.
like
And it'd be
eating
a chest
them like
plate.
this. This big giant tooth right
Yeah,
here.
it'd be a chest plate. It wouldn't be a
Yes.
necklace.
Yes. No,
But
that's crazy.
I find it interesting. All of these legends, could have some truth and could have some reality to them.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Well, a lot of it started with some truth, when and they become, myth or legend or something. Some things are kind of made up, but it starts by seeing something, and I really feel like there's stuff out there that people probably haven't seen before.
Oh
So,
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
definitely.
It's crazy, a lot of stuff. So I don't know. It's like stay tuned and hope that all those people that are out there, well, hopefully, this is the deal. I don't know what you guys feel about this, but they call them hunters, right? What are
Yeah.
they going to do when they see the Jersey Devil or the Mothman? I mean, do we want it caught? Do we want it in that zoo that they were going to put the Jersey Devil in?
Let's
Or are they
just
going
look
to
at
kill
the
it?
Jersey Devil. I mean, it doesn't take any damage, no matter what they do to it. What exactly are they going to do? What makes them think they can actually catch it? If you can't shoot the thing down,
Right.
are
Yeah.
you going to put it with a stick and make it really mad at you?
Oh, no.
Oh,
You
yeah.
first.
I honestly think that if I saw one of these creatures, I'd probably pee my pants. But B, I think I would be so intrigued and entranced by it that I don't know if I could actually, run from it, or if I would stand there and try and communicate with it, because they are so intriguing. And I like the
I'll be standing next to you and lifting your jaw up off the ground for you, okay?
Yeah, there you go. And the chupacabra, they've never said anything about it harming a human. It's always livestock and animals,
Yeah.
domesticated animals. So it would be interesting to see what if you came face to face with the chupacabra, if it would, do you harm, or if it would just try and communicate with you.
I know I've seen lots of stories of them showing the pictures of it,
Yeah.
but and sometimes it's a case of mange with a canine.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
They have said that. Yes.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I think when you get to South America and you have these big things, and the gnashy, sharp teeth and everything, there's got to
Lizards
be
don't get
something.
mange.
Yeah. And also
Scale
having that,
up, they don't get mange.
yeah, and having that spiny, those spiny little triangles down their back all the way to their tail. I mean, is that a mutation? Is it, what it, But
A
why?
lot of times it looks like it's, undernourished.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
now,
like a starving, mangy
yeah,
coyote.
yeah.
yeah.
So you're going
Which
to see
a
its
couple have been
ribs.
caught that were ended up being mangy, starved coyotes, and people thought it was
Yeah.
the
They
chupacabra.
did DNA on that.
I could see
But
that in
you know,
Texas or something, but I can't see it in. I can't see it in South America. Theirs is so different.
Yeah,
well, we need to do some other shows like this because they have, I can't remember if it starts with a G or something, but they have spotted a dinosaur in South America.
Yeah.
And people all witnessed it. And we need to do a show including that at some point.
Well, I think yeah, I definitely I love the folklore, but I love the different investigations that have been done into different things. And I think that there's got to be things out there that I mean we have not covered every square inch of this world. There
Oh,
are
exactly.
yeah.
Not even close.
yeah, there
My
are
mother told me her legend of when she was young of seeing a mermaid. So that was interesting.
I would love to do a show on a mermaid with mermaids and some of the different other folklore that are out there and where they came from.
Well, look it's top of the hour.
Oh, it is time for us to go. Can you say bye bye to everybody? Can you stand up and say bye bye? Oh, has she knocked you down? There, now you can
You
wave.
gonna say goodbye?
Yeah, say
Wave
bye
to
bye.
everybody.
Say
All
bye
right.
bye.
Well, Brandi and Cara, it was really fun, but we need to talk about next week.
Next week, we are supposed to have a friend of mine, Joe. She lives in Australia now, but she is from New Zealand. And she is going to be talking about some of her ghostly experiences in New Zealand. And she is going to be talking about some of the legends in New Zealand. So I'm looking forward to having her on. That's going to be amazing.
I'm looking forward to that too.
That's fabulous. I love this. I love Linda and talking about Norway. And oh, I can't wait till she comes back on. She
Oh, I
was
know.
great. And so this is going to be really neat to hear these stories about New Zealand. So we will post everything, you guys, in so that you'll know what's going on. We'll
Yes.
confirm everything and we'll get it right out for you guys to see.
Yes.
Okay, it's time to go. All
Bye,
right.
guys.
Bye, everybody.
Sorry about our little
Y'all
trailblazer
later.
there.
It's life, and we're living it, and so
She was just
these things
she
happen.
was our guest star
There we
today.
were. She was
She was.
the next announcer on Psychic Fixes. All
Watch
right, you
out.
guys.